So, I got a Switch 2 game the other day. One game that I never thought that I was going to get. I told myself absolutely, nope, not going to do it. But I did it for a reason. So after playing Drag and Drive, I noticed how it had some pretty cool mouse controls just moving in the menu. Like, I know that sounds silly. Like mouse controls and Drag and Drive, that's what got me to wanting to buy another game. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool because I don't really have any games right now currently on my Nintendo Switch 2 that utilizes mouse controls. I know there's third-party games that do so, that's on the game console right now, but I have most of those already on my other consoles. I'm not double dipping just for mouse controls. But I wanted something that I can actually try it out with, and there's one game currently that utilizes it a lot. But it was one of the games that I just had zero interest in playing. That is until I played it. Yes, guys, I have a confession. I liked Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Please don't go, let me explain myself, it's more interesting than you think. This game is a $10 game on the eShop that you can pay for, and essentially, let me just tell you exactly what it is in a short nutshell. You're learning about your console, that's it. You're learning about the insides and the outsides and the all technical work, how everything works with the Switch 2, and you're playing mini games, taking quizzes, and just, doing tech demos as you're learning about it. It sounds as boring as it possibly could sound. That's why originally I was never interested in it, but paying $10 to learn about my console that I've already paid $450 for is kind of insane. But maybe you still have zero intention in buying this game. Let me kind of not convince you, but rather just kind of explain to you how I actually came to really like this. And it's still not perfect. There's problems, and like I said, with the payment thing, it should have been a free pack-in game. It just made so much sense that way. But there's actually some fun to be had for some people. I'm not saying everybody's going to enjoy this, but I kind of enjoyed it in a weird way. Let me just jump into it. So you kind of just walk around these giant versions of your Switch 2 and its accessories, and you find badges that pop up randomly all over the area. You have to find all the badges to move on to the next area. There's tons of quizzes for you to take, tech demos to show you some cool things your Switch 2 can do, and also tons of actually some fun mini games. Now you start off on the left Joy-Con, and it's actually like some good information. There's a lot of things that they tell you that I was actually genuinely shocked that they were telling me, and that's later on. It gets very deep as you get deeper into the game, but it was showing you how you can attach the Joy-Con upside down, how the rumble works, what's inside the Joy-Con, what makes the Joy-Con work the way the Joy-Con works. You then move over to the actual unit, and it teaches you things about frame rate and like FPS, which is really cool. And it even has like little quizzes and stuff about how games look, because a younger audience might not know. I know for sure I didn't when I was a kid. I couldn't tell the difference really in frame rates. I just knew pretty game, I like game. You know what I mean? So it's actually a really cool thing to teach people that just genuinely doesn't know about these things. And as somebody that covers this console, I would like to know more about it and its inner workings, and I learned actually a ton with already having lots of computer knowledge. I built my own PC, so I pretty much know a lot of the inner workings and stuff, and a lot of the things I already did know. But dude, there's so much detail. There's so much fun, interesting facts about the console, things that you never would have known if you didn't even watch this. Some of the learning lessons will bring up references to their past hardware, like their past consoles and stuff, and where they developed Rumble and the first time they actually had cameras or microphones and stuff. So you also get to learn about the history of Nintendo, not just the Switch 2. But man, by the time I got to the right Joy-Con, I already learned so much. Like, I didn't even know why that there was a gap in between the Joy-Con and the console when it's connected. I thought it looked goofy, and a lot of people thought it did too. But if that little gap wasn't there, the Joy-Con would just snap off if you just bent them, which is like crazy to even think about. They even talk about how the locking mechanism works, so there's no possible way you can snap the Joy-Con off and break that little prong on the inside, because it fits loosely and it's made to wiggle around. You'll even go inside some of the pieces and parts, like inside one of the Joy-Con. You can see what the inner workings actually looks like, all the springs, all the pieces of the board and stuff. I also learned a lot of new stuff about the dock itself. Like, did you know for the 4 rubber pieces where the footing is on the dock, one of them actually has a little plastic piece that's meant for it to slide a little bit in case someone's trying to pull a cord out of the back of the console, and it slides the console instead of knocking it over? What about the console's super thin screen that's actually made up of 10 even super thinner screens of all doing different things, from touchpad screens to LCD screens and even shatterproof glass screens? It's crazy. Now, like I said earlier, I'm already kind of familiar with liquid cooling, but it was really cool to learn about a heat pipe and how there's actually water in your Switch 2 system and how it heats up, evaporates, and goes through like this long cycle of cooling down and, going over and over and over again in order to cool down your entire console. And it's just so cool learning about that stuff. This is just the tip of the iceberg. You'll learn about the GPU, the CPU, the motherboard, the computer itself. Like, it's actually... I said it 1,000 times already, but it's insane because it's just like, this is a really cool thing. I actually was enjoying my time learning about these new facts and stuff because it teaches me about tech. It teaches me about what goes into a console like this. What is the reason it takes so long to build a new console like this? And there's so many factors. Okay, maybe you're still bored because we're still in Switch 2 school, it sounds like, but let me tell you, the minigames ramp it up. There are actually a really good amount of minigames with a bunch of different varying levels, and each level for every minigame has 3 gold medals that you can try to earn. Getting 2 gold medals is already pretty tough with a lot of these minigames, but trying to get 3 is genuinely one of the hardest things I've seen from Nintendo. Like, some of these 3-star missions are genuinely grueling difficulty. And a lot of these use that new mouse mode feature, and you can just feel how smooth it is to move that mouse around. It just feels so perfect, like you're actually on a computer. And it's just one of my favorite parts about the system. Like, take this minigame where you have to actually find where the strongest rumble is coming from on this giant grid. And let me tell you, it's actually pretty difficult, especially when you have the entire grid to work with on the X and Y axis. Yeah, I mean, to get a 3rd medal, you need to be like 3 ticks away, which is like right on top of the pulse, which I could not do for the life of me. There was one minigame I really liked where you see some type of object moving, like a ball. And you have to try to guess at what frame rate it was moving. And, sometimes it's just very clear and obvious it's moving at a super lower frame rate. But as you get into some of the harder missions, it's kind of hard to tell between like 60 and 120, especially when something's moving extremely quick across the screen. You have to really pay attention to like the engravings or design on the ball in order to really see what frame rate it's moving in. Take this minigame where you have to actually move through a maze as quickly as possible by using the mouse controls. And it shows you just how smooth these controls are because in order to get that 3rd medal, you have to fly through the maze. And it is so daggone responsive, man. I don't know if you remember back in the day, we had some fun, school-based games that we could play on the computers at school. There was like Cool Math and also Study Island. This reminds me a lot of Study Island, where you're learning, but you're also playing some fun little mini games. I remember Study Island used to be a blast. I used to actually really love it as a kid, and it almost kind of brought me back to when I was a kid. But these mini games were actually even more fun in this game, I thought, especially with a lot of challenge. Like, there's still a lot of mini games that I want to go back and try to get all 3 medals because some of them are just so tough. Now, not every single one of the minigames landed. Like, using the marker felt a little strange when you're trying to use it in mouse mode. I feel like when you use a marker, you hold it like a pencil. So holding the Joy-Con as a mouse and trying to color this in as if you were actually holding a marker with a big horizontal stretch felt kind of strange. Or quickly scraping goop off of a window didn't really feel that much fun either. It was just kind of dragging my Joy-Con back and forth. And as a big fan of golf, the golf minigame kind of sucked. I don't know. I felt like I was never perfectly aligned, and I just didn't like the controls and the way it felt when you hit the ball with the putter. This balloon minigame was peak. It actually turned the game into a first-person shooter. And oh my gosh, I already had like the skills from this because I play competitive shooters online on my PC already. Like, I've been playing years of Fortnite, so my aim has already been kind of trained. So I got these 3 medals very quickly, but it was so cool to play something like this on a Nintendo game. Like, I'm just already imagining myself playing Metroid Prime 4 with these controls, and I was already skeptic about it. I was like, I'm probably just going to use my Pro Controller. But man, after this, I don't know, man. I have like great accuracy with these Joy-Con. It's not all just mouse mode mini games. There's some that use other accessories as well, like the VR camera and even the Pro Controller, where there's one where you had to do all these like button combinations in order to unlock the controller and stuff. And dude, it messes with your brain. It's so wild, but I had a blast doing these. It felt so satisfying when you hit everything correctly. And it even used the mapping buttons on the back of the controller in a unique way and showed you how easy it is to set those up for video games. And I didn't even know it was that easy. Just to hit the home button, immediately set up 2 buttons for your back 2 triggers, and you're good to go. And it actually saves, I guess, depending on what game you're playing. yeah, I mean, this just really taught me so many things that I wasn't even going to try out with the console in the first place. Yes, there are a ton of mini games here, even some that I can't really show you because there's some that you play just on the tablet itself. Like there's one where you literally play Twister, where you use all 10 of your fingers in order to push it down on the buttons, and you have to try to get all 10 fingers down on all the 10 colors that they choose. So you have to make sure you're smartly moving your fingers around and knowing which fingers to lay down. And even one mini game where you're playing with the kickstand. No, I'm not joking. It'll tell you what angle to move the console down or up at, and you have to actually try to match that console, and it can actually register what angle it's at, which is just crazy to me. It's stupid, it sounds ridiculous, but it's stupid fun. If you bought the camera or just have a webcam, you can play this little mini game where it actually picks up on facial impressions, so you can actually make these faces. Like I'm making this face right now and the camera's picking it up, where you have to try to match the example face. And it's just so funny and goofy, but it's actually like pretty good at capturing what you're doing. But let me tell you, these mini games actually offer a lot of variety and replayability. And I know this entire video I'm sounding like I'm being sponsored, but no, I'm not at all. I genuinely just found these very enjoyable and some of the more complicated challenges that Nintendo has given us in recent years. These mini games, once again, are just a small facet of this game. There's so many things to do and find and just walk around all these sets of these consoles and accessories. It's actually really cool. There's even little things that you can find, like hidden objects and stuff that other people have left behind that you can take to the lost and found. And there's just like lots of little Easter eggs and stuff hidden around. They did a really good job for a $10 game, believe it or not. But does this game need to be $10? No, this definitely should have just been a free pack-in game, especially when you're just learning about your console. Like I said earlier, on top of all of that, there's still tech demos that show you some cool things about your console and the rumble of the HD Rumble 2 or whatever it's called, and some of the cool things that your console can do. And yeah, I just found myself genuinely being entertained all the way through. And this wasn't a super short game. You'd think for $10 this would be over in an hour or something like that. No, not really. I actually spent around 6 to 7 hours just completing the main game. You know what I mean? Just going around collecting all the stamps and doing all the demos and stuff and all the mini games. And there's still tons of mini games that I gotta go back and try to get the second gold medal for, and even the third gold medal for if I really want to try. So I can see this game taking me almost up to like 10 to 15 hours to completely finish it, which is crazy. But yes, I'd say if you just got your Switch 2 and you're kind of bored right now, maybe you finished Mario Kart World, you finished Donkey Kong Bonanza, there's nothing really to look forward to right now, and you just want to mess with some of the peripherals and stuff of your console, get the Switch 2 Welcome Tour and just take it for what it is. Lean back, relax, and just try out the mini games, you know, play around with the tech demos, learn some stuff about your console. It's a good, unwinding, relaxing game. It can get stressful, though, if you're really trying to go for those third medals, like I said, on those mini games, but it's just a different style of game. And it really made me appreciate my Switch 2 even more. I really am a fan of the console. I really just fell in love as soon as I unboxed it, but when I just saw all the things that's packed into this thing and what it can actually do and what it will be able to do, like once some games start dropping that actually utilizes some of these features, like Metroid Prime 4, Splatoon 4 eventually in the future, even Mario Maker 3 is going to be the biggest game ever on this console, mark my words. Like that mouse function is going to be revolutionary for that game. So we just gotta wait for the games, but for now, try this game out. I promise you, it's somewhat interesting. It actually genuinely was even more than somewhat interesting to me. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than Dragon Drive so far. I'm not joking. So yeah, take that for what it is, whatever. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Nintendo, and let me know if you tried out this game and what you thought about it, or if you're now curious about it. Maybe I convinced you, but thank you for tuning in. Like always, I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.